Alright, welcome back to our podcast. I'm the gentleman, accompanied by the disturbed Southern Belle.
Hello.
And in this episode, we will be continuing and ending our series on most disturbing books.
Correct. We'll be taking on some more media like movies, music, and things of that nature after.
So, this episode will be 2 shorter stories than we normally do. Starting with one titled The Living Dead Girl.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a novel that was written by a woman named Elizabeth Scott. It follows a teenage girl who has been kidnapped and forced to live with a sexual predator named Ray.
Right.
So it starts by saying that Alice is a 15-year-old girl who lives with a man named Ray. A man that everyone assumes is her father, but in reality, he had actually abducted the girl approximately 5 years earlier when she was about 10.
Right.
So, Ray suffered horrible sexual assaults from his mother and now seeks to cope with the pain of his childhood by inflicting the same abuse on young girls.
As you do, right?
Disgusting.
It is.
So, in an effort to have Alice keep a petite and childlike appearance, Ray deprives the girl of food.
Right.
Which is also disgusting.
It is.
He also dresses her in clothing that is meant for girls much younger than she is, which means that she's just...
He dresses her in little girly clothes.
Things, which means that she's probably just so uncomfortable.
I'm sure.
They're probably so tight on her.
Probably, in some cases, that does
because they're likely several sizes too small.
They are in some cases.
So, anyways, he also assaults her daily. Assaults of the sexual variety. And he forces her to sit in a chair, not allowing her to get up, and this is as a form of punishment when he believes she, quote-unquote, misbehaves.
Right, and it basically makes her sit there, and you can imagine all the bodily functions that could happen if you were made to sit in a chair and not allowed to move for a great period of time.
So, Alice refers to herself Alice refers to herself as a living dead girl, hence the name of the story.
Right.
She is fully aware of the fate of the girl Ray had abducted before her and anticipates that she will soon be met with the same.
Right.
So, eventually Ray decides that he's going to dispose of the girl as he did with the first Alice. He had grown tired of the girl once her body began to mature, and that girl's body was found eventually. However, Ray was never even remotely suspected as being responsible.
Right.
So he has brainwashed the current Alice into believing that any attempts made by her escape will result in him killing her family. This causes her to stay in line even when being left alone in Ray's apartment during the day while he's at work. She even goes out on her own to get bikini waxes while he is away.
Right. Gotta keep her looking young. So sick.
So one day he tells Alice that he wants her to help him find a new Alice. He hopes, if she complies, that he will finally either kill her or allow her to go free. Most likely the former.
I'm sure.
So, however, there is another twist. She is not only to find the new girl, but to train her and teach her what Roy likes.
Ray likes, yeah.
Or Ray likes.
Yeah. Of course.
So, Alice begins to take trips to a local playground and begins to monitor the girls playing there. She writes down her observations in a notebook, and on one of these visits, she meets a young girl named Lucy. Lucy tells Alice that she doesn't like her, which leads Alice to decide that she will be the one to replace her. Later, Alice meets Lucy's older brother, Jake. He is a troubled teenage boy who abuses prescription drugs. She ends up having sex with him in an attempt to gain more knowledge about Lucy, such as her hobbies and her schedule.
Right.
After this encounter with Jake, Alice starts to leave the area. However, she meets a police officer who can feel that Alice is in trouble.
Right.
Alice fears that saying anything to the officer will only cause her more trouble with Ray, so she declines to say anything. Alice then tells Ray what she has learned. However, when they go to find Lucy, she's not where Jake said she would be. This leads Ray to accuse Alice of lying to him. Alice then goes on her own in search of the girl, and she finds her and attempts to warn her of Ray. However, she is unaware that Ray has followed her, and he then appears and grabs Lucy by the arm. Alice then musters her last bit of fight and shouts at Lucy to run. The girl manages to escape, but this causes Ray to become enraged. He then begins to try to strangle Alice when suddenly Jake appears and shoots Ray. However, he also wounds Alice in the process.
Right.
As Alice lays dying, Lucy comes back to kneel by her side, and Alice then tells the girl that her real name was Kyla Davis, and then tells Lucy her true home's address and asks the girl to take her home. She then dies with her last thought being, I am free.
It's sad, but I'm glad that she did turn, realize and not give him what he wanted. Yeah. I'm glad, if nothing else, that bit of good came from it because of that. Because, oh my gosh.
Yep. God, and just to imagine how many girls were before her, too.
Also, who knows? Maybe he didn't abduct. There was only one other one before her that he was supposed to have actually kept, but how many he actually did things to, who knows?
That's just...
I'm sure that wasn't just the first two, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, moving on to our next one, we need to talk about Kevin. So, this is a novel that was written by Lionel Shriver in 2003 that was written from the first-person perspective of a mother whose son was involved in a fictional school massacre.
Right.
It talks about her attempts to come to terms with what her child has done.
Right.
So, the book starts with the narrator, a woman named Eva. She talks about how she has always struggled with the idea of becoming a mother. She gives up a successful career after her son Kevin is born. However, she finds that she is unable to truly bond with her son. She feels the boy dislikes her and fears that he has psychopathic traits. His father, Franklin, refuses to acknowledge this and doesn't see a problem with the boy.
Of course.
The story then switches to after Kevin has committed his crimes, when he was 15 years old.
Yep.
In this portion of the story, Eva has separated from Franklin and she begins to write letters to him, in which she reflects the relationship she had had with her husband and son. She was forced to sell the family's home to pay for Kevin's legal expenses. However, she wanted to remain close to where her child was incarcerated, so she still lives in the same town. This means that she is shunned by pretty much everyone. She visits Kevin regularly, however, their relationship is still very strained.
Right.
She then talks about how, in his early adolescence, he was always rebellious and hard to control when he interacted with her. However, he was always docile with his father. This leads her to believe that he was being purposefully antagonistic towards her.
It does sound like it.
His behavior with her ranges from being manipulative to being outright cruel. He often uses an incident from his childhood where his mother had accidentally broken his arm due to her frustration with him refusing to be potty trained properly. Which, Jesus Christ.
It's bad. I get that, but the way it describes in the book that he does it makes you think like he really doesn't care that she did it. He just uses it as a way to blackmail her and make her feel like crap. And that's the only thing he does it for. It's not like it really had any impact on him in the real big scheme. It's the way it makes it sound, which makes it sound like psychopathic, Not saying that she should have did that or nothing. You get what I mean.
No, that just kind of makes me want to know the context behind that. Like, how did she break his arm? I'm assuming she kind of just
jerked him or something. I'm thinking it was something along those lines, and did it rougher than she meant. And I'm not saying that that's right. No, I'm not saying that. But he uses it in a way that's just weird. It's not like it even had any impact on him. And because he'll tell his dad, oh, it was just an accident. It's no big deal. I don't know. Maybe it did. I have no clue. It doesn't. I don't know. He sounds like he was weird from the get-go, but whatever.
Does. But anyways, later in his adolescence, he discovers an interest in archery but finds it difficult to relate to other children, except for his friend Leonard. His peers find him unsettling, and he often bucks tradition by wearing uncomfortably undersized clothing.
Which, why?
I don't know.
Sounds weird.
It sounds very weird.
Oversized clothing, I've seen a lot of kids do that. I've even done that.
I've done that.
But really, undersized clothing for boys, that's odd.
It is, very much so.
Whatever.
So, anyways, he begins to follow news stories of school shooters and mass murderers. Later, when Kevin enters high school, where he and 3 others, including Leonard, accuse a drama teacher of sexual assault. However, Eva, believes the events were completely fabricated. Franklin defends Kevin, convinced that the boy is completely normal and is simply misunderstood.
Yes.
Eva's dislike for Kevin eventually begins to cause a rift in her marriage. However, the couple ends up having a second child, a daughter they named Celia. Celia is the complete opposite of Kevin. She is affectionate with her mother, where Kevin was always cruel and hostile. And one day, while Kevin was babysitting Celia, there was an quote unquote accident involving drain cleaner, and Celia was, as a result, blinded in one eye.
Yeah, accident used loosely, probably, right?
Yeah, very much so. Eva is certain that Kevin is responsible for the incident, and this accusation leads Franklin to then ask for a divorce. Because that's the natural
Yeah,
escalation to
I
that.
guess. But anyway.
So he tells Eva that he intends to take custody of Kevin. However, Kevin overhears the conversation and he ends up taking a crossbow and shooting both Franklin and Celia, killing them both.
Right.
Which, Jesus Christ, talk about an overreaction.
Yeah. He's nuts. But anyway.
So, yeah, after that, he then goes to school, manages to trap 7 classmates, a cafeteria worker, and a teacher in the school's gymnasium before then shooting them.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin's attorneys are able to argue that Kevin's use of the drug Prozac leads him to experience violent psychopathic episodes as a side effect.
Mm-hmm.
This, coupled with the fact that Kevin is a minor, allows him to receive a lighter sentence. The novel ends on the second anniversary of the massacre. Kevin is about to turn 18 and will soon be transferred to a maximum security prison. Eva finds Kevin and asks why he committed the murders, to which he replies that he is no longer sure. They embrace, and Eva decides that despite what he has done, she does love Kevin and will await his release so that she can welcome him home.
I just don't know. I get so many aspects of this story. I mean, it's her child. And I get that it's hard to say, I don't love my kid anymore. But at the same time, there has to be a line.
At the same time, he murdered her husband and her, probably at the time, infant daughter
Now,
with a crossbow.
I think the little girl was supposed to be maybe around 6 or 7, but still.
Still, that's not much better.
No, it's a kid, right, with a crossbow, then goes to school and kills other people just because, why not, right? I mean,
about 9 people.
Yeah, and it...
For a total of 11.
But I do like the story just for the fact that it does kind of look at it from the inside, because we don't ever think about sometimes that maybe these parents are not horrible parents and they're driving these children to do it. In all cases, maybe this kid's warped. It can happen.
Now, I will say, the father seems like a horrible father.
I won't say horrible, but just one of these that just don't want to believe don't want to take responsibility kind of people. Thinks everything's just okay and wants to sweep everything under the rug. And that would be horrible in the sense of what it's doing to him, because that's giving him more probably a sense of entitlement and things. So, yeah, horrible for that. Not horrible in the fact that he's like abusive or something kind of maybe.
Yeah,
but yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not a bad story, and it's got a movie after it, too, and it's a good movie, too. I mean, it's interesting. It's, what it is, of course, so watch at your own risk, but anyway.
That's going to be it for this episode, with more horrible stuff.
Of course, we're talking about some more disturbing media. We're probably going to be covering some different music and some movies. So if there's any songs or movies that you find truly disturbing, just let us know and we'll be happy to cover them. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And don't forget to stay disturbed.